October 14, 1912, began as another exhausting day on Theodore Roosevelt's presidential campaign. By nightfall, it would become one of America's most astonishing political stories. Roosevelt was no longer president. After losing the Republican nomination, he had formed the Progressive Party, popularly known as the Bull Moose Party, and entered the race again. At 53, he remained energetic, combative, and confident. Crowds came not merely to hear his policies, but to witness the force of personality that had defined his public life. That evening, Roosevelt arrived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thousands of supporters were waiting at the city auditorium, expecting a major campaign address only weeks before the presidential election. Before leaving his hotel, Roosevelt placed the typed manuscript inside his coat. The speech was unusually long, about 50 pages, folded into a thick bundle. In the same breast pocket, he carried a metal case for his spectacles. These ordinary objects seemed insignificant, but within minutes they would alter the course of the night. Shortly after 8 o'clock, Roosevelt walked out of the Hotel Gilpatrick and approached an open automobile. Supporters crowded the sidewalk, cheering as he prepared to depart. He stood inside the car and raised his hat in greeting. In the darkness beside the vehicle, a man moved forward through the crowd with a revolver. His name was John Schrank, a former New York saloon keeper who had followed Roosevelt's campaign. Troubled by delusions, he believed the candidate must be stopped. Schrank raised the weapon and fired once at close range. The sharp report cut through the cheering, and Roosevelt's body jerked as the bullet struck his chest. People immediately seized the gunman. Anger spread through the crowd, but Roosevelt remained remarkably controlled and ordered the men around Schrank not to injure him. Only then did Roosevelt examine himself. The bullet had passed through his heavy coat, struck the metal spectacles case, and torn through the folded speech manuscript. The case was dented. The pages were punctured. Together, the metal and thick paper had absorbed part of the bullet's energy before it entered Roosevelt's body. Roosevelt understood that he was wounded, but he also noticed an important sign: he was not coughing blood. He believed his lung had probably not been pierced. His aides urged him to seek immediate medical treatment. Roosevelt refused. 9,000 people were waiting, and he insisted that the car continue toward the auditorium. Backstage, doctors briefly examined the wound. Blood was spreading across his shirt, yet Roosevelt remained determined to speak before allowing anyone to take him to a hospital. When the audience learned what had happened, the hall fell into shocked silence. Roosevelt stepped forward slowly, carrying the bullet-pierced manuscript in his hand. He asked everyone to remain quiet. Then he announced, with extraordinary calm, that he had just been shot and that the bullet was still inside him. Roosevelt lifted the damaged pages so the audience could see the holes. The long speech, he explained, had probably prevented the bullet from reaching his heart. Then came the line that entered American legend: "It took more than a bullet to kill a bull moose." The terrified crowd erupted in applause. But the moment was more than political theater. Roosevelt's voice weakened, his breathing became difficult, and blood continued to stain the front of his white shirt. Still, he spoke for about an hour. He discussed political violence, public responsibility, workers, women, children, and the progressive reforms he believed the country needed. He told the audience that the cause mattered more than any individual candidate. Even after being shot, he tried to turn personal danger into a warning against hatred. At last, Roosevelt's strength began to fade. His aides persuaded him to stop, and he left the stage while the audience watched in stunned admiration. He was taken to a Milwaukee hospital for examination and X-rays. Doctors found that the bullet had lodged in his chest, dangerously close to vital organs. Removing it, they concluded, would create more risk than leaving it in place. Roosevelt carried the bullet inside his body for the rest of his life. He survived, but the shooting did not deliver electoral victory. In November, Woodrow Wilson won the presidency, while Roosevelt finished ahead of Republican William Howard Taft. The folded manuscript, however, became one of history's most unusual shields, a political speech that failed to win an election but may have helped save its author. The story also revealed Roosevelt's contradictions, courage and theatrical instinct, physical toughness and political calculation, fierce ambition and unexpected mercy toward the man who attacked him. More than a century later, the bullet-marked pages still survive. They remind us that preparation can shape history in ways no speaker, writer, or candidate could ever predict.